How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be featuring the Rodney, the Tier 7 British battleship. Rodney, new addition to the game, somewhat interesting, somewhat kind of mediocre, I would say. I mean, being able to push in with the British battleship, I mean, it's sort of nice because we do have a 30 bow rather than Nelson's 25. And with the massive citadel that both Rodney and Nelson have, having 25 bow kind of does suck at Tier 6. So you can at least push in, although because it is British and it is technically still a Tier 6 ship at a higher tier, your armor isn't really that great. I mean, 32 everywhere basically. HE spam will just absolutely melt you, and then it's just simply not a fun experience. Also, short fuse AP and Russian dispersion. I mean, if you're able to get Russian dispersion or within Russian dispersion range, then you can have some pretty nutty looking salvos, but for the most part, especially with Legends and the way Tier 7 is, where most of the time there are CV matches and no one likes to push in, well, majority of the matches are extremely passive and, well, somewhat boring. Short fuse on this British battleship. I mean, I kind of wish it was just standard AP like the Collingwood or something. I probably would enjoy it much more if it was, because I feel like I might have gotten maybe one citadel out of all these salvos. But yeah, that's unfortunately not the case. We get located while pushing in, so we know there's a destroyer somewhere. And because there's no carrier, I figure we can probably be pretty aggressive here, because for the most part, I mean, there's nothing that's going to overmatch us. Yolo Emilio comes around the corner, unfortunately gets himself spotted, so that gives us an idea of where he is, and that's enough warning for us to turn away and not push into his torpedoes, although we have to do a game return in front of the IO. But I think he had Dewey, and that rear turret of Justice dispersion was so bad. One shell landed in front of us, and then the other two just sailed like a billion miles behind us. So yeah, kind of lucky there. Dude didn't have like max New Jersey and like max inspirations, and then like just rear turret of Justice triple citadel Delito Cheeto goodbye back to ported us. And yeah, Yolo Emilio turns away, abandons his YOLO because we've already turned away. I think fortunately for us, he gave up chasing us because our engine boost actually ran out basically when he got around the corner. And I think if he truly was just trying to YOLO, he probably could have gotten us. But I don't know. I mean, I guess he does have to worry about there being sonar as well, because Rodney could technically have sonar in that engine boost slot, but with how slow Rodney is, I feel like engine boost is kind of needed, just so that you're not, you know, chugging along very slowly. And then when you're on one flank and you stop them, and then basically the middle spawn goes to the other side of the map, and then you're just basically spending like 5 minutes just trying to get to the other side. Kind of just want to avoid that as much as possible. Something I didn't really think about while playing this, that last heal that I used, using the battle cruiser commander and that skill that gives you turret traverse and reload as you take damage. I probably could have gotten away with just holding off on using my repair party, just so that my turrets could turn faster, and then I could get my turrets on the left side of my ship to take some shots at the Manus. But it kind of worked out. I mean, our dispersion was pretty good, and the time that it took our turrets to turn allowed us to finish off the Manus. Although, I mean, do we really like finishing things off rather than actually doing all the damage? Not really. But yeah, something to kind of work around here, especially having super heals. You can go from having pretty good turret traverse back to having no turret traverse with one heal. So I guess that is something that we kind of do need to worry about. B cap starts getting flipped. There was a destroyer in B that got spotted and killed off our Benson, and it was the Leningrad. So I do kind of need to worry about that, because Leningrad is one of the few Russian destroyers that actually has some torp range, and at this point we've been spotted long enough that I am assuming he's sailing through the middle of the cap, much closer to me, and probably gonna get some torps off. So it's time to just turn in and try our best to dodge torpedoes. I could have also just turned away and kept kiting, but with how slow the ship is, I mean, that's kind of boring. We also go unspotted for a split second, and as soon as we fire and zoom out, we realize the BB just smoked up in front of us. I'm assuming he is going to beach on the island and maybe run away back to his spawn. So I dump torps on the left side of the smoke. Leningrad gets spotted and beaches, but I'm still assuming that he's going to try and run away to his spawn if he's intelligent. If he reverses away and tries to leave to the right of his smoke, then obviously he's just going to be shot at by like a billion things and just die extremely quickly. Maybe I should have also led with his torpedo a little more just to kind of guarantee that he doesn't get away that quickly. Especially because our engine boost is running out now, it's going to be kind of hard to keep up with a Russian destroyer. Leningrad dumps torps, misses. We also had a heal on standby just in case we ate a couple of torps, and well, these super heals would have just basically printed us another ship even if we ate it, so wouldn't have been the end of the world. We're just pushing in as quickly as we can, as we're barely breaking 20 knots right now, just to see if we can get the Leningrad spotted. Russian destroyers don't have the greatest detection, and I'm kind of hoping that we're able to get rid of the Leningrad pretty quickly. So we have HE loaded. Rodney HE, not as good as Nelson's, especially the fire chance, but HE on a full HP destroyer is going to do fairly well. Leningrad, 3 bars, gets spotted. Russian dispersion at close range does fairly decently. I mean, we land a bunch of shells and take half his HP. We also in-cap a bunch of things. We pop our secondary funny button, although a ship that's not really built for secondaries, the funny button isn't going to really do much. We landed 2 shells. I think the best thing about this build that we're using is that we have a 21 second reload right now, and obviously if we took damage it would be dropping under 20 seconds, which honestly is also kind of funny. We take care of the enemy Leningrad. Now the YOLO that tried to YOLO us at the start gets spotted, and he's just charging at our Prince Heinrich. I feel like if the YOLO had torpedoes, which is probably the only reason he's charging in, I feel like the Prince Heinrich would have had sonar to spot the torps, which he does, but I don't actually notice that soon enough, and we take a pot shot, probably when we shouldn't have, because the YOLO did get spotted behind the island. But on top of that, unfortunately, Prince Heinrich having sonar still eats YOLO torps. Yeah, kind of tragic. So now that the YOLO dev strikes our Prince Heinrich, we just simply turn away. We're going to see if we can take care of this sea cap as quickly as we can to allow those ships that have been kind of kiting in our spawn to come back this way and help us, just in case there is the YOLO that might have his exhaust smoke. Maybe if they catch up quick enough, then they could have sonar or something to kind of save us. Enemy Mono, all that's left at sea, gets spotted and starts getting shot at by our Shimanto, which is kind of funny. Honestly, the alternate Japanese light cruiser line, not really that great all around. I mean, it's kind of funny that you're just dumping torps, I guess, if that's your fancy, but at the same time, the Pan-Asians kind of do what you want to do in the Japanese cruisers, but better. I feel like if the Japanese light cruisers had a better reload, they might be a little more fun. But at the same time, if they gave it a reload like Suzuya, then that would be, I would say, problematic, as Suzuya is very good, and I don't think we really need a bunch of Suzuyas at every tier. And Miyamoto getting farmed by our Shimanto. He does reverse behind the island and go unspotted, and we do finish him off with a Citadel, or rather a Pitadel. Enemy YOLO gets spotted by our Nagato. Kind of glad that the YOLO decided to YOLO the Nagato. I feel like if he just kept his distance and basically sat right outside his detection, with a Nagato being fairly slow, I think he could have just kept kiting the Nagato and dumping torps, as even though it's only 6 km with the ship pushing towards you, that does kind of allow you to extend your torp range just a little bit, because, well, a ship pushing into your torp range, that allows your torps to travel, and by the time your torps reach max distance, the chances are the ship might have pushed into your torp range, and then, well, he probably still could have been alive. We're also pretty fortunate. I think he didn't have any exhaust smokes, especially because he tried to use it at the start, so he wasted one on us. and then he might have wasted another trying to YOLO something else later on at A. But at this point, we got 4 kills. We're just going to keep pushing to the bottom left corner of the map because I'm assuming the Plymouth is just going to keep driving around in circles behind the furthest island, which is kind of where he's been sitting for this entire match. And I mean, if he does try to go back to A to reset our Nagato, I mean, we're going to have a different line of sight. So if he tries to be cheeky and take a pot shot before he goes behind an island, we might be able to keep him spotted. So that's my hope. Plymouth tries to play the game and actually resets our Nagato. But then if he doesn't, we'll just keep pushing down to the bottom left corner because Nagato, with his current direction that he's sailing, will eventually get to the border and maybe he will turn south and basically Plymouth won't escape going north. And I mean, at this point, since we're still not spotted, he probably is either on the border or he's still behind this island that he's been camping at this whole match. But we're just going to keep pushing in. Our Nagato's almost captured A, so I'm guessing at this point he's not actually going to play the game and he's just going to kind of hide. He could have also been salty that his whole team died and started sailing to the bottom left corner, which is a very good possibility, although we do get spotted right when our detection hits that left border. So there's a good chance that that's also where he is. Because realistically, I don't think there's really any sort of chance that our Nelson is fast enough to catch a Plymouth if he was driving down to the bottom left corner. Sorry, not Nelson, Rodney. Still spotted. Not sure where he is. Start getting a little worried that maybe he sailed south towards the bottom border and he's somewhere to our left torping us right now. But we go unspotted, so either he's beyond our detection or he is behind this island, which is a very good possibility. I'm just going to keep my guns on this island just in case, because if he does try to YOLO us, well, then we'll be ready. Plymouth takes a pot shot before we get to the corner of the island, so he was basically just driving in circles behind the island that we assumed he was at. Unfortunately, most of our shells land short and we don't get any citadels, and we leave Plymouth on 1 bar of HP. Although it does seem like all of our ships are shooting AG, including the Nagato. So fortunately for us, there's basically just 1 bar of HP that we need to deal with. Dispersion looked like it was about to troll us again, but fortunately we barely did enough damage to finish him off and secure a kraken. Honestly, kind of a little boring kraken because we spent so much of the match driving in circles at B, kind of in our spawn because of the destroyers that we had to deal with. But fortunately for us, we were able to not get YOLO'd, and then we were able to catch the Leningrad. If we didn't catch Leningrad, I think it might have been problematic, especially for the Nagato and myself, as we probably could have gotten torpedoed and just died off, thus possibly resulting in a loss, as we also wouldn't have been able to deal with the Omono. Maybe he ends up trading, but a bunch of what ifs, ands, or buts. Didn't happen that way, fortunately. But yeah, battle cruiser guy had a reload build. Honestly, probably could have been a little better if we just went like full accuracy or something. But having a 21-second reload on 406s at tier 7 is kind of funny. Possibly need to try and use something similar to this on other ships, which, I mean, to be fair, I think we can do this with the American battleships and Hoshino, because we did kind of do that with Vermont, and that was pretty funny to do. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, and share it with your friends, or leave a comment down below for other ships you want to see in the future. But anyway, guys, till next time, aloha.